Hey guys, it's another Thursday night Devo time, and tonight I want us to look at a passage found in Luke chapter 8, starting in verse 22. So if you want to go ahead and turn over there, Luke chapter 8, starting in verse 22. You know, I think this semester, as we're getting closer to school starting, I wanted to give you a heads up on what we're going to be talking about on our Devos on Thursday night. We're going to be looking at Jesus and starting really with why did we need Jesus in the first place? So if you want to be studying up on that and thinking about it, why did we need Jesus? Why did he have to come to this world? And then we'll be going through and just talking about who Jesus is, why he's important to us as Christians. You know, a lot of times we don't spend as much time probably talking about who he was and why he was here. I know we do talk about what he taught, and that's important too. But you know, the idea of who was the why did they call him the Christ? Why is he called the Messiah? So those kind of questions we're going to look at and address as we go along this next coming semester. Next week's video, I'm going to be talking about some of the changes and maybe talking about some of the things about the building and its usage. So a little bit more informative probably than so much detail as far as a devotional. Anyway, tonight though we're looking at a story about Jesus in Luke chapter 8, verse 22. I'm just going to read through this first, and then we'll just talk about it a little bit. So it says, one day Jesus said to his disciples, "Let us go over to the other side of the lake." So they got into a boat and set out. As they sailed, he fell asleep. A squall came down on the lake, so that the boat was being swamped, and they were in great danger. The disciples went and woke him, saying, "Master, Master, we're going to drown." And he got up and he rebuked the wind and the raging waters. The storm subsided, and all was calm. "Where is your faith?" he asked his disciples. You fear In fear and amazement, they asked one another, "Who is this? He commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him." This is one of those passages that is found also in Matthew chapter 8, and it's also found in Mark chapter 4. And then there's other references to similar incidents um, where there's involvement with water and boats and stuff in Mark chapter 6 and John chapter 6. But in this particular case, in the other passages where we could turn to this same story, we see Jesus has been teaching, and he's tired, and he's been working hard. You've never had to get up and give a speech, and it makes you nervous, and you have this energy about you, and then when you get done, sometimes you feel sort of drained. I think that's part of, if you're doing it right, you're putting energy into it, and it will make you tired. But Jesus has been going about teaching, and he's been teaching in huge crowds, and he's exhausted. So they set out. One of the passages talks about that other boats actually go along with them. When you're talking about one of these boats, they have recovered a boat from about the same period of time. There was a fishing boat that was about 27 feet long, about 7.5 feet wide, and it would have a side on it, so it was about 4 foot tall on the side. And a lot of times they would have a single sail, but they'd have room for people to row the boat. One of the passages that it turns to talks about Jesus being in the back of the boat, and that he's laying on a pillow or a cushion. So we can get a little bit of different details from different stories, but all talking about the same event. And they're going, him and the disciples, which we believe is talking about the apostles, and they're going to go over to the other side of the lake. And when they get in the boat, they set out, and things are calm. Things are fine. I think a lot of times in our own life, that's sort of the way things are. We have plans. We start on our journey, whatever it may be, and things are just seem like it's going to be easy. Things are going to be fine. Some people are that way with college, to be honest. They've been in high school, things have been fine. They get to college, and things come up. Not always having that person looking over your shoulder, not having the encouragement and the help from your family and support that you need. sometimes can throw people off. Getting into situations with certain people or groups on campus can sometimes lead people astray. But things can come up and throw off our plans. What we thought would be fairly easy trip suddenly turns into sometimes a dangerous adventure. And it does say in this passage that the storm came upon them quickly. It comes down the lake. They talk about this passage and when you look at the commentaries and stuff, and there is some interaction between some mountains that are nearby and some ravines, and the wind that will come down off of those mountains is cold, and it rolls down those ravines in and onto the lake where it stays warm and tropical most of the time, seems like. And then that stirs up all this storm. And when it talks about the fact that this squall, okay, it's a storm, okay, it's not just a gentle rain. The waves have been crashing, the wind would have been blowing, and the boat is being swamped. Okay, so the water is crashing over the sides. It's not flipped the boat over, but it's filling it up with water, and it is sinking. And in this particular passage in Luke, unlike some of the other ones, he does point out at the end of verse 23, and he says, and they were in great danger in the NIV translation. I looked through, and almost all the other translations have that similar idea that there is danger, that it's not just that they're scared for no reason. If you're out in the middle of a lake and there's a big storm and your boat's sinking, it could be scary. I know when I remember being a kid and I was with my grandfather. I was with my grandfather. My brother was with my uncle, my great uncle, and we're both in these little aluminum boats. Probably, I don't remember if they're probably 10-foot boats, not very big. And we're out on this lake, and this thunderstorm came in quickly. And I mean, it was pouring down rain, the wind was blowing, and that was scary enough. But then the lightning started flashing down, and the thunder was booming, and it was close. I mean, it was hitting trees in the lake where we were at. So it was a very scary experience. So I can't imagine doing it at night. Which it seems like they did. I think so anyway. The disciples go to wake up Jesus. Now, I think that's sort of telling us a little bit, too, about how tired Jesus is. The fact that he's sleeping through this, he's tired. And they go to him and they call out, Master, Master, we're going to drown. Some people think that they tried to wake him up twice because of the way the statement is, and the translation is a little bit difficult, but whatever it is, they're emphatic. They're scared. They're going to Jesus to lean on him to see what to do. And I think that's, well, for one thing, it's a clue for us. First and foremost is, hey, we need to turn to Jesus in times when we don't know what to do. And if there's a case in our life that comes up and things seem chaotic, go to Jesus. Go to God. He gets up and does something that I don't know that they expected. I don't really think so. You have to remember, this is sort of still early on in the ministry. They've seen some things now. They've seen some healing and some things that he's done. But for him to get up and he rebukes the wind and the raging water. He speaks to it. He talks to the storm and tells it to stop. And the storm and the waves suddenly cease, and the water is calm. And he looks at them and he says, where is your faith? And I've always thought that maybe that's a little bit harsh, to be honest. You know, when you're talking about something that you just don't understand, and you're in this scary situation, and suddenly the unexpected happens, and Jesus is able to do something that is almost unimaginable. I mean, to stand up and to rebuke a storm and to have it to calm down. I'm not sure what the disciples were expecting. I don't know what they were expecting, but I doubt it was this, because of their reaction. Because in their reaction, he says, in fear and amazement, they ask one another, who is this? He commands even the winds and the water, and they obey him. You know, the idea that here God, here this man is, and we've seen him heal some people. We've seen him do some things that are miraculous, but to have control over nature, in our own mind, in our own life, a lot of times I think we think of as nature is this sort of thing that God just sort of wound up and let go, and it's just happening. And maybe that's wrong of us, but God has control of nature. The Jews would have seen that as something in God's domain, that God alone could do something about the weather. We know that that's from the history, and you go back and you look in the Old Testament. There's times when people like Elijah call for the drought that takes place for 3 years, and we see, God using drought, and then with Noah and the story of the flood. I mean, so there's indications that definitely God has taken a hand in weather in Jewish history, in our history. So they make that connection. The disciples that are with Jesus make that connection, that here this man, suddenly they're placing him on a new level. He has control over nature. And then I was just thinking of connecting this to our own life. And there's times in our own life when things get chaotic. And there are situations that are going to be dangerous. We may face illness, accident, disease, but yet we call on God, who is able, who created all of this, to take care of what needs to be done. Now, is it always going to go the way we want? Probably not. Like I said in this passage, I don't think his disciples really expected him to just speak and calm the sea because of their fear and amazement. But Jesus took care of the situation, and he took care of the disciples. And so in our own lives, we need to put our faith in God and to know that he is our creator, that all that is around us, all that is going on, can be in his control and his plan. Now, does that mean that we're always going to be perfectly healthy, that we're always going to be perfectly safe, that we're never going to have any struggle and strife? Well, no. They were struggling with that boat. The boat was flooding, and the passage even says they were in danger. Okay? A lot like our life. We're in danger. Each time we get into a car, each time we go out of our house and walk across the street, in our own world today, now we have, the illnesses that we can catch and things that can come upon us that they're dangerous. That's just the truth. That's the fact of life. I was reading an article today and talking about, of all weird things to think about, just popped in my head. There was an article I was reading about being killed by a black bear. And people don't always think about that. And, well, yeah, why would we? Well, walk out your door and get killed by a black bear. So life happens. And we're going to face some difficulties, but it doesn't mean that we still don't put our faith in God. And in those times of trials, we call out to God. We pray to God. The Israelites in the land of Egypt were praying to God for freedom from that captivity when you're looking back at the story of Moses. And how long had they been doing that? But, God answered. It's not in their time frame that they probably wanted. But as we're getting into this semester, just be prepared to be flexible. Be prepared to keep your focus on God. Don't get distracted by the things that are going on around us. And because we're going to have all that extra, make sure you don't leave God out of your plan. God should be part of your everyday plan as you're going through your day. Bible study, prayer, checking in with fellow college students, talking to each other, supporting each other. That's still got to be part of who we are as Christians. So let's be be looking at that. And like I said, next week we'll talk a little bit more about some of the procedures that's going to be with the building. It's not a big deal, but just to get us ready in that mindset. And I hope everybody's doing well. Think about this as we're getting ready. If you don't make a plan, most likely you're not going to follow through. It's sort of like setting goals. And if you have goals that you're set and you have a plan on how you're going to carry it out, when you're going to do it, you're more likely to do that. So be part of our group. Make sure that you're studying up on why Jesus is important to us as a people, as a world. And we'll be looking at those questions as we're going through this next semester together. So hope everything is going well for you, and take care of yourself. If you have anything you need, give me a call. You have my phone number, I'm sure, or you should. And if you have any questions or anything about the Devo tonight, you can give me a call about that as well. So hopefully we'll see each other very soon.